In less than a year, Mitch Trubisky went from starting his first ever college football game to being the number 2 pick in the NFL draft ahead of Patrick Mahomes. He went on to win the NFC North and was even a dark horse MVP candidate, but then he lost it all. So why did Trubisky regress so quickly after having early success in his career? We're about to find out because this is what they aren't telling you about the rise and fall of Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky was born and raised in Mentor, Ohio. As a sophomore, he became the school's varsity starting quarterback and was heavily recruited after playing just one season. After his junior season, Trubisky took home the Ohio Mr. Football Award, which is given to the best high school player in the state. By the end of his high school career, Mitch was a 4-star recruit and the number 1 ranked dual threat quarterback in the nation, with offers from big time programs like Alabama, Ohio State, and Tennessee. Ultimately, he decided to leave his home state and commit to the University of North Carolina. Mitch decided to redshirt his true freshman season in 2013. In 2014, he served as the backup to starting quarterback Marquise Williams, but did see some action during garbage time. After Williams put up strong numbers that 2014 season, he was yet again named the Tar Heel starter for the 2015 year. Marquise led UNC to an 11-1 regular season record, so there was really no one questioning why the 4-star recruit wasn't starting at quarterback. After the 2015 season, Marquise Williams declared for the NFL draft, so the starting quarterback spot was Mitch's to take in 2016. Mitch finally made his first collegiate start in week 1 of the 2016 season. He finished his first season as the Tar Heels starting QB by completing 68% of his passes for 3,700 yards, 30 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. After starting just 13 games at the college level, Mitch Trubisky declared for the 2017 NFL draft. And it wasn't just the fact that he declared for the draft that was crazy. He was pretty much the unanimous QB1 in the class, over Deshaun Watson, who was a Heisman finalist, a national champion, and the projected number 1 QB in the class before Trubisky emerged. And there was this other QB in the class that was usually the 3rd quarterback off the board in mock drafts from Texas Tech, and his name was Patrick Mahomes. Everyone loved Mahomes' arm during the pre-draft process, but some questioned if his playstyle would translate from college to the NFL. So why was Trubisky ranked as the top quarterback in this class and a projected top 3 pick? Scouts believed Mitch possessed great accuracy, mechanics, athleticism, and a high ceiling. Just remember that, take note of that for later in this video. Draft day arrives and the Bears send 2 third-round picks and a 4th rounder to the 49ers to move up 1 spot in the draft, just to ensure they were 100% getting their guy. So with their newly acquired 2nd overall pick, the Bears did indeed draft Mitch Trubisky. But not everyone in the Bears building was aware of the plan to draft a new quarterback. Head coach John Fox found out the morning of the draft that GM Ryan Pace was going to draft Trubisky. What makes this look even worse is the fact that just a few weeks before the draft, the Bears signed Mike Glennon to a 3-year, $45 million deal. Despite Chicago trading up to draft Mitch, the team named Glennon the week 1 starter. However, the veteran quarterback struggled, turning the ball over 7 times in the first 4 games. After a 1-3 start to the season, the Bears decided they needed to start their rookie QB week 5. In his first NFL start versus the Vikings, Trubisky completed just 48% of his passes for 128 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 turnovers as the Bears lost 20-17. In his second start, the rookie QB bumped his completion percentage to 50 and completed this big-time pass in overtime to set up the game-winning field goal. Trubisky went on to have a so-so rookie year. It definitely wasn't the worst we've seen from a first-year QB, but it also wasn't one that made you go, wow. Fellow rookie quarterback Deshaun Watson was more impressive that season before he tore his ACL. Trubisky finished his rookie season with a 4-8 record while completing 59% of his passes for 2,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 248 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. After the Bears finished 2017 with a 5-11 record, head coach John Fox was fired. Matt Nagy, the Chiefs' offensive coordinator, was then hired as the organization's new head coach. Ryan Pace remained the team's GM and made sure to acquire offensive weapons during the offseason to help his quarterback's development. He signed free agent wide receivers Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel, as well as Eagles tight end Trey Burton. Then, right before the start of the regular season, the Bears pulled off a blockbuster trade, sending 2 first-round picks to the Raiders for former Defensive Player of the Year Khalil Mack. It was clear the Bears were all in on making a playoff push in 2018. The defense was stacked. The offense had weapons, but would Mitch be able to take the next step at quarterback his second year in the league? The season didn't start as planned for the Bears. In their Week 1 matchup with the Packers, they were up 20-0 late in the third quarter. The Chicago offense then failed to score more than 3 points the rest of the game and lost 24-21. Throughout the first 3 games of the 2018 season, Trubisky had thrown just 2 touchdowns and had 5 turnovers. However, Mitch flipped the script in the 4th game of the season. In a matchup with the Buccaneers, Trubisky completed 73% of his passes for 354 yards and 6 touchdowns. Mitch's impressive play continued throughout the season. The Bears finished the year with a 12-4 record and won the NFC North for the first time since 2010. Chicago entered the playoffs as the 3 seed in the NFC and were set to face off with the 6 seed defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. Trubisky and the offense started the game slow, but went into halftime winning 6-3. Heading into the 4th quarter, the offense had still failed to score a touchdown and the Bears were now losing 10-6. With just over 11 minutes left in the 4th quarter, Trubisky led the offense on an 81-yard touchdown drive that put them up 15-10 with just about 9 minutes remaining. With 1:14 left in the game, Philly had a 1st and goal at Chicago's 2-yard line. But the Bears defense stood tall and it was soon 4th and goal. With 1 minute left in the game, if the defense could get one last stop, they would more than likely win and move on to the divisional round. But on 4th down, Foles threw a touchdown pass to Golden Tate to put the Eagles up 1. After a great kickoff return by Tariq Cohen, Mitch and the offense took the field with 48 seconds left in the game at their own 42. He only had 1 timeout remaining too. Trubisky made 2 big throws on the drive to get the Bears down to Philly's 27. With 10 seconds left in the game, Cody Parkey trotted onto the field to attempt a 43-yard game-winning field goal. All Trubisky could do was watch. He did his job, throwing for over 300 yards in that game. But then it happened, the infamous double doink. Although the Bears season ended in probably the most heartbreaking way possible, Trubisky's second season was a success. He completed 66% of his passes for 3,200 yards, 27 total touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. He also made the Pro Bowl and was the first Bears quarterback to do so since 1986. The future was looking bright for the Bears organization, and they were expected to make a deep playoff run in the upcoming 2019 season. Matt Nagy had just won Coach of the Year, and Mitch Trubisky was a dark horse candidate to win MVP. But in the very first game of the season, Mitch looked nothing like a possible MVP candidate. He played terrible and was clearly the player holding the team back from winning. With just over 2 minutes left in the game, the Bears had the ball at the Packers 16, down a touchdown. Instead of throwing a touchdown to tie the game, Mitch threw a game-ending interception into double coverage. The Bears lost 10-3. Chicago did go on to win the next 3 games, but because of their defense, not Trubisky. After he suffered a shoulder injury in a Week 4 win, he was ruled out for Week 5. But when Mitch returned in Week 6, he looked bad, completing just 34 of his 54 passes in a loss versus the Teddy Bridgewater-led Saints. As the season went on, Mitch's play continued to decline. In a Week 9 loss versus the Eagles, the offense recorded just 9 yards in the first half. 9! Mitch finished the game by completing only 47% of his passes for a measly 125 yards. At this point, the media and fans were asking if Trubisky should be benched. He wasn't, but his play didn't get much better in the remaining games. He was missing throws, misreading the defense, and just having poor mechanics in the pocket. Ironically enough, doing everything bad that scouts said he was really good at coming out of college. I should note the Bears' offensive line wasn't good in 2019, and that definitely affected the mental part of Trubisky's game, but even when he did have time in the pocket, he was just making bad mistakes. Mitch finished the 2019 season completing 63% of his passes for 3,100 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. The Bears finished the year going a surprising and disappointing 8-8. After Mitch's dramatic regression during the 2019 season, Chicago traded a 4th-round pick to the Jaguars for Nick Foles. Trubisky and Foles competed for the starting quarterback spot heading into the 2020 season, with ultimately Trubisky winning the job. The Bears started the year 2-0 with Trubisky under center, But the following week, when the Bears found themselves down 16 in the third quarter versus the Falcons, Mitch was benched. To add even more salt to his benching wounds, when Foles came into the game, he threw 3 touchdowns and led the Bears to a comeback victory. After that game, Nagy decided to roll with Foles as his starter going forward. Trubisky was stuck on the bench until week 12 when Foles was ruled out due to a hip injury. Mitch's play did improve a bit when he returned as the team's starter. In week 14, the Bears were set to go head-to-head with the Texans and Deshaun Watson, the quarterback many believed should have been drafted instead of Trubisky. In that game, Mitch actually silenced the critics for a split second. He outplayed Watson by completing 72% of his passes for 267 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no turnovers in the Bears' 36-7 victory. With Mitch's decent final stretch of the season, the Bears were able to clinch the final playoff spot in the NFC. In the wildcard round, the team traveled to New Orleans to take on the 2-seed Saints. Unfortunately, Trubisky regressed all the way back to the old Trubisky in that one. With just over 2 minutes left in the game, Mitch had only 10 completions for 107 yards. The game was over at this point as the Saints were up 21-3. Yet, the Bears offense put together a 99-yard touchdown drive to, end the game on a fun note. And it also doesn't help to pad your stats and have more than 10 completions in 4 quarters of football. Of course, after that game, Mitch Trubisky took home the prestigious MVP award for the first time in NFL history. A truly historic moment in the history of the league. After the 2020 season, Trubisky was a free agent, and obviously the Bears had no interest in bringing him back. Not being able to find a home as a starter, Mitch signed with the Bills as a backup for the 2021 season. After spending a year on the bench, Mitch was a free agent yet again. The Steelers were looking for a new starter after Ben Roethlisberger's retirement and signed Mitch to a 2-year deal. But just when it looked like he was going to get his second chance in the league, the Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett a few weeks later. Even though Trubisky won the starting QB spot coming out of camp, it was clear Pickett was the quarterback of the future. Mitch played a turnover-free game in week 1, which helped Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati 23-20. However, the following week, after struggling in a loss versus New England, the Steelers fans started chanting, "We want Kenny." 2 weeks later, after only completing 7 of his 13 passes for 84 yards in the first half, Mike Tomlin benched Trubisky heading into the second half in favor of the rookie. From that moment on, Pickett was the Steelers' QB1. During week 13 of the 2023 season, Kenny suffered a sprained ankle that needed surgery. So for week 14, Mitch was named the team's starting QB. That week, Trubisky struggled in a loss versus a Patriots team that had only won 2 games up to that point. The following game, his play got even worse versus the Colts, throwing for just 169 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Following that loss, the Steelers decided to start third-string quarterback Mason Rudolph for the rest of the season, who actually ended up playing better than Mitch Trubisky. So if there were any remaining questions about if it was Nagy and the Bears system causing Mitch to play poorly, I think they were answered. After the season ended, Pittsburgh released Trubisky, and he went on to re-sign with the Bills to back up Josh Allen yet again. Could Mitch Trubisky have been a solid starting quarterback in the NFL? Honestly, yeah, I think he had a chance to. He had all the natural tools, the size, the athleticism, and all of that. But what I think really could have helped him was sitting a year on the bench and learning behind Mike Glennon. I mean, the guy played 1 college season, and the Bears thought it was a good idea to have him start not even halfway through his rookie season. He just had so much to learn. That jump from college to the NFL is hard, especially when you don't have a lot of college experience. I think him being rushed out there might be part of the reason why his mechanics broke down and just became so bad. He was just under pressure and in a frenzy a lot, trying to do too much at once. I think the game was just moving too fast for him, and I guess it never slowed down. At this point, he's 29, and it's clear he's going to spend the rest of his NFL career as a backup.